Welcome once again to our weekly update from the City of New Hope with the Mayor, Kathi Hemken. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, good morning. Happy spring.
Yes, it is coming in. We have a lot of springtime notes to pass along, so stay with us here for the next few minutes as we bring you the update. Let's begin in community development and some business news. A business along 42nd that is really coming along. Give us that update.
Well, where the old Mountain Mud used to be, a group bought that and they put in something called Pocket Square. And so they're making gin in the back room, I guess. It's just delightful in there. If you don't drink, you can go in and just have a snack and have a non-alcoholic drink, or if you want a regular drink, you can do that too. So they'll be opening on the 29th of April. Just a beautiful spot.
Something for residents to look forward to. Another item in community development is the City Services Survey. Give us a little background on why this is important for the city and how residents can participate.
Well, every 4 or 5 years, we hire a company called Letterman to do an official survey. Well, because of COVID, a lot of the answers weren't going to be relevant because there wasn't a lot going on. So we decided to do a city survey again. We do that every year or so. So this year they've added a couple new things to that survey. One of them is how are you getting your information? You're going to the media, you're going to the newspapers, you're going to the flyers we sent. So that'll be one question they're asking. One of the questions will be on the Civic Center Park and the Aquatic Center, how they think that looks, how they think that's going, whether or not they're using it. And the third one will be how the city handled the pandemic. So all three of those new questions will be on there. Now the survey will be sent out to the residents.
Okay.
You could also do it online. We're asking that you don't do it more than once, but do it at least once. Every single one of those surveys is read by staff and by me. So I get this big stack and I go through them to read, because I want to know what residents are feeling and where their happiness is and where their frustrations are.
And you can get that again on the city's website. If you don't get it in the mail or want to do it in the online version, newhopemn.gov is that website. Let's talk outdoor dining again. With the weather turning nice, it's time to talk a little bit about some ordinances that affect that. Tell us what is happening within the city.
Well, currently we have an ordinance that says you can only have outdoor dining that is 30% of your indoor capacity. And we really want our businesses to thrive. This has been a hard year for them. So we decided to drop that 30% and just take that off. So if they want outdoor dining, they have to come to the city, but we're not restricting how big it can be. The thing that does restrict it, though, is the setbacks on their property and the parking availability. So if they meet those setbacks and the parking availability, they're allowed to put it outdoor dining, but they need to come to the city to get that approval.
Very good. Let's move ahead to scattered site housing, always keeping residents up to date on the successful program in the city. We have 5 properties to touch on. Let's start on Ensign Avenue. What is the latest there?
So at 2705 Ensign, there was a fire in 2019. They took the house down and Opportunity Partners bought the land. They're a group, a nonprofit that builds houses and offers them to people with disabilities. So they've now got a temporary occupancy certificate. So there'll be somebody moving into that nice new house real soon.
Let's move over to Louisiana. Some work being done up on 42nd.
Right behind Cook Automotive, there was an old house there. The city bought that. We tore that down. They have just passed the inspection for the framing of the house. The house does have a buyer. The buyer has asked for a few amenities to be put in, like a fireplace and granite tops in the bathrooms. So it listed for $409 on the MLS, and it should be done probably end of June, July.
Move over to Aquila up on the 4600 block. What is happening there?
Another house that had a fire in it. The city bought the land. And of course, we had to remove all the house that was there. It wasn't worth anything. And so the contract is going out now to have that removed. And for the neighbors, just for their information, all the utilities have been shut off, of course. The water going into the house has been shut off. When we remove debris on a house that's had a fire, it takes a little more time and effort because we have to handle it differently than just a normal demolition. So it's coming along. It's been a long time and the neighbors have been very patient, but it's coming along.
Two more stops as we head north through the city, 52nd and Pennsylvania. Give us an update on that property.
That one we bought. That's the one that we did the training, the fire department did the training in.
Right.
So the training's all done. They were very appreciative of that. That demolition contract will be awarded probably this week, and then that house will also come down. And
Final
a new one will
stop.
be built.
Very nice. Final stop, 53rd and Oregon. What is the last update?
So there's two houses there that just got built. They have to have the landscaping and the grading and the driveways put in by the 1st of July. And that will happen, and then we'll have buyers for those too, I'm sure.
A lot of activity in that area. Let's move over to some business work happening with building permits and inspections. The Spanish Immersion School coming to a property that has been in existence in New Hope. We've talked about this in the past. What is the update on that progress?
So New Hope Church owned that property, and they sold it to somebody else who's leasing it to a Spanish immersion school. Their hopes are they would have half English speaking kids, half Spanish speaking kids, so that they can both learn the language together. So that's going through the planning process. It's done that. They got a good vote for the planning process. It now goes to the state, and they'll look at the permits, and that should be about 6 weeks. And when that's done, they'll be able to start working on it.
And that property on 47th and Zealand, if people are wondering. Move ahead to Public Works. A little credit for this great department that does a lot behind the scenes in the city. Let's begin talking with curb stops. What is happening with curbs and the effect maybe of some water main breaks?
So when a water main breaks, they have to go in, of course. A lot of times you'll have to take the curb out. You can't pour curbing when it's freezing. You can fix the water main when it's freezing, but you can't pour the curbing. So now they're going in and putting these curbs back in that had to be taken out. The ones that they know that are really damaged, they're replacing those. Again, it takes a long time to do that.
Let's move ahead to sanitary sewer lines. Not a job that we would want to do, but someone has to do it. And this staff in Public Works right on top of this as well.
Well, this is spring, and it's spring cleaning.
Okay.
So they're cleaning out those sanitary sewers. They're cleaning out the drains in the streets. If you have a drain in front of your house, it would really be helpful if you took the debris away from that drain so that the rainwater can go down that drain and get it out of there. So the other thing they're doing is they were working with Allied with the street sweeping crew, just to make sure that that's done properly and that all that stuff is picked up. So they're doing that. And the last thing they're doing, and this is kind of a sad piece, is they're removing graffiti from the skate park and some broken glass. So here we put this beautiful skate park in, and there's some people that think it's fun to write all over it with spray paint. And every time they do that, it costs money to send out that crew from Public Works to remove that graffiti. So if you happen to know who's doing it, please stop, because it's just costing all of us money. And it's so pretty, and it's a shame to wreck it by doing that.
One last Public Works note is all those athletic fields in the city are getting ready for use. And I understand the crews are out there putting the fertilizer down and making sure they're green and ready for action. Is that correct?
It is. They're fertilizing, they're cutting, they're painting, they're doing all kinds of stuff. And that brings us to the start of the softball season. So May 3rd is the first day of the softball season, and that is a true sign of spring coming.
All right, and sign up happening. We'll talk about that in just a second. Let's talk about some other projects that are happening throughout the city coming up here this summer. Utility reconstruction on Louisiana and 36. Give us an overview of that project coming up.
So just north of 36 on Louisiana goes north, and then Markwood Drive kind of turns off to the right. Right in that area, there was a water main break, and they needed to do some serious fixing of that. So that street is shared by Crystal and New Hope. So Crystal's taking the lead on that. They're going to be doing the engineering and the water main replacement. We'll do our part on the New Hope side. Basically, we'll give Crystal the money and they'll do the whole thing. But so we have to take care of our part of the street, but it's not our cost, it's Crystal's.
Very good. Well, we've been prepping this for a couple of weeks, maybe even a month, is railroad crossings. And it is now time to pay some extra attention, Mayor, to railroad crossings. Help us understand Winnetka and then Boone.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
This has been forever. So they have, as of this morning, they have closed down the railroad railroad crossing, and that's on about 51st, 52nd, and Winnetka.
Mhm.
So from the north, you can take Bass Lake Road all the way down to Angelina Drive, but you can't get across the tracks.
Okay.
So if you have a house or a business down there, you can go down that far. And coming from the south, the same thing. You can come up 42nd to 51st, but again, you can't cross those tracks. So if you're going to be going south or north, go over to Boone, go over to Douglas, and go down that way. But the tracks are, sometimes people think if the road's closed, they can sneak by. They can't sneak by on this one. They're absolutely closed. This is 4 to 6 weeks, though. This is not overnight. This is a long process. I'm guessing, I'm not sure if they reroute the trains. I guess I don't know. I don't know how they could fix it and not reroute the trains, but
Very good question. My guess is and understanding is they do not. So I'm sure they have some capacity to be able to keep that track part going and do the cement work. And after Winnetka is done, they do move over to Boone. What's the process? What's the timetable on that next step?
so we're signing a joint powers agreement with the railroad and the county. And so what they'll do is when they're done with Winnetka, they'll go over and do the Boone crossing. That isn't as bad as Winnetka's, but it still needs some help over there.
Exactly.
So I think the same thing will be done. They cross off the street, so you can't go over those tracks. So you'll have to go from the south or north some other way and use Winnetka then.
Very good. We'll keep residents up to date on that process as it moves along. Let's move a little further down on Winnetka between 27th and 42nd. I understand some mill and overlay work coming.
Well, Winnetka is getting a good facelift.
Yes.
In 2020, the county was going to do Winnetka a mill and overlay from 27th to 42nd. Well, they only got 27th to 36th done. And so now, come this spring, they're going to do from 36th to 42nd.
Okay.
So Winnetka is going to be a mess.
Yes.
Really, Boone, Douglas, anything but Winnetka.
You might want to look for some other options. The street infrastructure improvement projects going on. Let's move up to around Lions Park. What is happening there?
Well, that whole area around Lions Park is getting redone. The road is just terrible. So they're fixing the curbs now. They've got the utilities coming that are going to be put in. That should be all dug up by the end of May. And then by the end of June, they should have the new pavement on. So you've got kind of a rocky spring. Let's hope it doesn't rain too much on you, but by the end of June, you should have a nice new road around Lions Park.
And one other quick update is one spot that's going to maybe get some extra attention this year is Sumpter Place. What is happening there?
So Sumpter Place is between Winnetka and 62nd, that little area. Basically, it's a little cul-de-sac. And for whatever reason, it really deteriorated over the winter. So they need, we don't usually go in and just do something spur of the moment. It's usually all planned out. But when there's a complete failure of the street, they try to do something different. So they're getting bids now on that mill and overlay.
Okay.
So they'll be doing Sumpter, more on that to come, but it's Sumpter Place.
Okay. Last few minutes here, talk about park and recreation, some of the things going on. And one of the fun things that happens in the city on a regular basis is Donut Make You Wonder. You have a recap of the last one, plus a very unique next event coming up. Tell us about those.
Well, we haven't had an in-person Donut Make You Wonder since February of 2020.
Wow.
So the next one, which is May 19th, will be at Becker Park. It's 10 to 11:30. The cost is $2. We ask that you register because we kind of need to know how many people are there. Again, there'll be social distancing and a mask. They're going to talk about the 1936 Olympics, which is a really interesting topic, I think.
Right.
So it'll just be fun, and that $2 goes for a coffee and a donut.
And the April event that just occurred, they talked about Cuba. So some great topics at those events. You can find out more at the city's website about what's coming up in those areas and other park and rec activities, including the bike rodeo. Give us a little preview as that's starting to come together now.
It is. The bike rodeo is May 6th. It'll be 6 to 8. It'll be at the community center in Crystal. They're doing it virtually and in person. I know that my community service officer went out and bought new bikes that they'll be giving away at that bike rodeo. So if you can come in person with your bike, that's great at Crystal Community Center. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can watch it virtually. And you can go to our website and get that link so that you can see it virtually.
And you mentioned softball earlier, and things are coming together. These schedules are being sent out to some of the teams within the leagues, but still the need for umpires, I understand, if anyone's interested.
Yep, they can always just go to the website and sign up for to be an umpire. I have no idea what that means, other than you wear all kinds of equipment and
Right.
you should probably be able to see.
There you go. Good idea. Good idea.
But you'll be accused of not being able to see a lot of
That might happen regardless of how well you do.
Yes.
Music in the parks. Let's talk about that coming up in the end of May. And this is something new for the city.
It is. Well, we built that beautiful performance center and we really wanted to use it as much as we can. So one of the things they're trying to do is once a month, they're going to have a band come in and it'll be free. We're looking for sponsorships, by the way. So
Okay.
if somebody wants to sponsor one of the bands that are coming in, again, go to the website or you can call Susan Rader at 763-531-5152. She'll tell you how much that costs to sponsor it. So that first band will be playing on May 26th. It'll be called the Percolators. They play 60s plus music. And
Sounds
maybe a couple polkas just to thrown in
All
for
right.
fun.
Sounds fantastic. A great opportunity to get out and enjoy that park and enjoy some music. Final note we want to pass along is the plant sale is coming up. You've been talking about this past couple of weeks. Are you getting plants, and how can people get you more plants?
Well, you could always bring me more plants. So this last year we raised $1,600, just simply gave it to the golf course to buy more trees, to buy more plants for the golf course, just to make it look pretty. So if you've got plants that are coming up that you don't want where they are, you can either pot them for me or you can put them in a plastic bag and just drop them off at the golf course. So this plant sale is on the day before Mother's Day, the 8th of May, from 8 to 1. The plants are really cheap. They're 2 plants for $5. So and we're looking for plants that are nice and well established. So this is a really good time to dig that out, put it in a little pot if you can, and just kind of nurture it for a couple days, or you can just bring it to the golf course, put it on the tables that are on the patio, and I'll make sure they get watered and nurtured and all that good stuff.
All right. Sounds good. Share a little beauty with your neighbors in New Hope and beyond New Hope, even whoever comes in and shops that day at the golf course.
Yep.
Mayor, thanks once again for your time today. We look forward to touch base with you again next week for another update from New Hope. Have a great day.
Thanks, Dave. You too. Bye-bye.
Learn more about The Connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.